Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Katz Chats here for the Missouri Valley Conference. Pleased to be joined by Southern Illinois head coach Scott Nagy. Scott, you've done plenty of rebuilds. You've had great success at each stop. So, where are you in this process at this point in the season and in this point for you at Southern Illinois?
Oh, I mean, we're a mess, but I would classify it as a beautiful mess. We love our kids. We have, I would say, all the guys that are playing are probably all at a very low confidence level right now. We started out the year, I think we had the toughest schedule in the league, non-conference. I'm almost sure of it. We probably bit off more than we could chew, and I think it gave us a start that really made our confidence low. We were actually pretty good defensively uh, through much of that, but we've been awful defensively in the league. I mean, like worse in the country, bad defensively, and that's probably my biggest frustration with this team. I knew we'd struggle offensively a little bit, and one of the reasons we're struggling so bad offensively now is because our defense is so bad that all we're doing is taking the ball out of the basket, and it doesn't give us an opportunity to run because we have to be able to create some easy points in order for us to score easily. We obviously don't shoot the ball very well. Um, but I woke up this morning thinking, and it's not normal for me. I mean, I tend to be a pretty melancholy, negative guy, but I actually woke up this morning thinking it's just a great opportunity for us to grow as coaches, for me to grow as a coach, for our staff to grow as coaches, to figure out a way that by the end of the season we're the team that nobody wants to see, and I think we can be that. But there's a lot of things we're still trying to figure out. I'm having to change so much about the way I've done things in the past, but it's good for me. I see that, this is my 30th year, and I want to do things the way I've always done them, but I'm having to change. And so that's making me grow. But we love the kids. It's hard for me to see them so beat up, but I'm convinced that even with this group, we can get it to where we're one of the teams people don't want to see at the end of the year.
So, I was trying to be a little positive at the beginning, and I
Yeah.
appreciate your transparency and honesty. But each of your stops as a head coach, South Dakota State and Wright State, and now Southern Illinois, each one of those has had great success at one point or another and has good tradition. So there must have been that lure for you to say, look, Southern Illinois has won. They have produced,
Uh,
plenty of talent, head coaches. So what was that draw? This is me on the outside. What was it for you to say, you know what? Yes, it's a rebuild, but they've done it before. Even in this new era, transfer NIL, there is a foundation.
oh, there's a huge foundation here. I mean, we're talking about Sweet 16s, and just great players, NBA players, and so there's all kinds of foundation that would bring me here. They love men's basketball here. We own the whole southern half of the state. When I was at South Dakota State, you're kind of a big fish in a small sea. Wright State was just the opposite. It was a small fish in a big sea. With all those schools around it, and you feel like back at Southern Illinois, you're a big fish in a small sea again, and I like that. The people are passionate about their basketball here. That I want to be involved in programs like that. I have an AD that I'm working for, and Tim Leonard, that wants men's basketball to be successful, and I want those expectations. Like I don't people say, oh, I mean, there's a lot of expectation. Well, there's expectation. I'd rather have people expect me to be good than expect me to be bad. And so I'm fine with that. And I've been like you say, when we made the transition from Division II to Division I at South Dakota State, it was a mess what we went through, and we were able to pull that through. We went in and were able to take a program at Wright State that wasn't bad, but wasn't at the level they wanted it to be, and we were able to do that. And I think at Wright State too, I ran into a wall at the end. I felt like I'd done what I could do I was a little flat. I needed some juice again, and coming here gave me that. And plus, this is where I'm from. This is where my wife's from. This is our home state. So and I've known, even as a little kid, how good Southern Illinois was, and all the good coaches that came through here. And so it was a joy for us to come here. It wasn't an easy decision because we left most of our family behind. But in terms of a job, I think it's a great job in a great league. I mean, clearly, and so I'm excited about it, and I'm very excited about the kids we're coaching right now, even though it's an absolute struggle.
And the last couple of things. First of all, what we've seen from the league is as good as the league is and has been, there hasn't always just been one team. Like it feels like everyone has sort of taken a turn, in those top two or three spots, and and it is cyclical. So, I mean, I'm curious, how much does that give you hope, optimism, put the melancholy aside that
Oh
hey,
yeah.
we can get our turn.
Well, I mean, we know that, and it's not like I'm even giving up on this year. I'm just not. There are some challenges with this team, but I think we can work through those, and I have to change in some of that. And I'm recognizing that. But yeah, as we move forward, and it get changes with recruiting. And let's face it, college basketball has changed a ton because of the transferring and the NIL and all those other things, and so we have to compete in all of that, even though it's really I would rather recruit freshmen and keep them in our system. It's much more difficult to do. But those are the kind of kids we're looking for. I look at some of the teams that are having big success in our league now, and I know a couple years ago some of them weren't. And so, I'm not one of these guys like a rebuild. No, I want to do it now. But we also don't want to try to win at the expense of building a program. And so that's the fight we're going through now, is just building the program, establishing who we want to be and what a Saluki looks like. And some of that's a fight. It's a struggle because some of those guys haven't been here, don't know the history. And so we're trying to get them to understand that, what it looks like to be a Saluki.
Hey, one last question, and I don't know if I mean, look, at your previous stops, we've seen players, and I don't need to name names, but I've seen players that not that when you were there necessarily, but that maybe were at South Dakota State, went up a level, had success. We're at Wright State, went up a level, didn't have success. And I have people in my head, and even at Southern Illinois with Lance Jones as an example, like did well at Southern Illinois, then he did well at Purdue. So these things happen. How can you look at this new landscape and say, you know what? If you're with me for 2, 3 years, even four, and you got that fifth year, that's okay. You're gonna help us build winner. And if at the end of the line you need to go and move on, fine. I mean, how much does your mindset have to change a little bit?
That part of it I really don't want to change. But that's where I think NIL, which was what it was designed for, was to take care of the kids that were already in your program and not just run out there and go buy players in the portal. I think that's where we've got to do a good job of establishing a pattern that the guys that come here as freshmen and grow and do well, that we're going to take such good care of you, you're not going to want to leave. And we're going to establish relationships. And now I understand that at some point, somebody always has more. It doesn't matter where you go, somebody always has more. And if that's what you want to chase over everything else, this probably isn't the spot for you. I want guys that come and help us rebuild our program and want to be a part of it and want to stay and want to have a senior day that actually means something because of the connections and those things. Now, I understand fifth years and things like that. I get that. You've given us good 4 years and you sense this. That part I get, but I don't want guys to come 1 or 2 years, develop, and then leave. If you're going to do that, don't come. We'll get guys that want to be a part of this and stay.
And I should say that for the most part in the Valley, it has been that where it's the fifth year that moves on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But we
rather than
saw, yeah, in the Valley last year, 14 of the top 15 players aren't here anymore.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
like Mask is another guy. I mean, so like, these guys spent their time and they had
Yeah.
that grad year and all that. So I don't want people to think like I'm saying just 1 year and you're gone because that really hasn't happened anyway.
Right.
Scott, I appreciate it. And hopefully things will continue or flip to be a little bit more on an upward trajectory here in the next 6 weeks or so.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Andy.